Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Fundamental Forest. We're talking about some really cool stuff today. I'm really excited to get into it with you guys. Woo, what episode is it? 9? Isn't that crazy? We've done so much. Look at all this stuff. This is more Rollercoaster Tycoon than I've built in a small amount of time than I've ever done. So I'm really in debt to all you guys who keep showing up every episode and showing that you are here with me and you're interested and you are learning stuff from it. That it's so rewarding. One of the things that we're going to be talking about today is something really important. What do you do when you don't feel inspired, when you don't feel like you have the motivation to do what you might want to do? Every time you boot up the game, it's like, oh, what's the point? I'm not building something that's to the standard that I want to, and it all feels futile. What do you do in that situation? So we really get into that. And the thing that I want to say up top is that it is completely natural. That is not you somehow exhibiting weakness by experiencing the natural ebbs and flows of the human life. It's gonna happen. So it might not have happened to you yet, but it's gonna happen at some point, so you better learn these lessons quick. Otherwise you might be beating yourself up over something you really don't need to beat yourself up over. So Brian Endrelzik, friend of the channel, friend of you and me, always leaves the most insightful comments on my videos, and I'm always super thankful to read them. I now look forward to them every episode to see, what did I goof up on today that he's going to point out. He helped us obviously last time with the trains situation. He pointed out, hey, you should really be making your train stations longer. And basically every episode I've taken something that he said to me and applied it in some way. If you haven't already heard of and subscribed to and joined the community of the Brian Endrelzik Amusement Academy, you are missing out. At the top of the description, there's going to be a link, and it's going to be a link to his YouTube channel and his community, and you need to go over there and check it out. If you are enjoying my content, in some way I feel like I'm building off of the lessons he's given in his, because what he's doing is scenario play, and in his main series right now, a real life theme park designer plays the Rollercoaster Tycoon scenarios. If that doesn't get you hooked, then what are we even doing here? Those are fantastic videos. You need to go and check them out. He's full of all the best advice that you could possibly want, informed by his depth of experience in the real world of designing theme parks, and his experience down here with you and me making little roller-coasty tycoon parks for our friends and loved ones. Hey, now I'm nailing it. Look at this. It's sad to lose the curve that we've got here, but it'll let us do what Brian told us we should do, which is make some way for the guests to actually get down here. And that's what we really want, isn't it? So you really must read the comments that Brian makes on the channel and go and check out his content, because you will not regret a single second of the time that you fork over to watching this fantastic builder share the enormity of his real world and in-game knowledge. What are you still watching this for? You should be going and watching his video. I'm going to assume that you are arriving back at this video after watching all of Brian's videos, and you're joining me now to learn what to do when your inspiration runs dry. I'll say again, I'll do the little call to action they always tell you to do when they're giving you YouTube advice. The comments, the likes, the subscriptions, they go a huge way to exposing new people to the channel and exposing new people to our hobby. Every time you do anything like that, it is one step toward bringing more people into the thing that we have enjoyed for so many years. So I cannot thank you enough for the people who leave comments, the people who leave a like, the people who just watch. You know, even watching, sitting there and watching the video, it tells YouTube, oh, people are watching this. It's worth watching. So I can't thank you enough. It really is. I'm deeply thankful to every minute that you have spent here with us in Fundamental Forest. But we better get into it, right? We can't just sit here and be soppy the whole time. Come on, let's go. Everybody is in the pirate area. Why is that? That's crazy. And they've all bought black hats as well, because I've got a hat shop here called Tricorns, which is like, oh, it's like pirate hats. But now there's just a sea of black hats. There's hardly anyone here. Same with like the previously very busy areas. Okay, this might be a bit too many bins. I did go through and add a bunch of bins, but I feel like perhaps I overdid it a little here. Anyway, we've got plenty we can do this episode, but I've been struggling a little bit. We're quite late in the week for me to begin recording. I've really not felt all that inspired, which is a thing that everyone has to deal with. There's plenty that I can do, but it's just like, ugh, like what? It's all about inspiration. I'm not feeling inspired to do anything. And this is all part of the gig. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not a flaw in your quality as a builder if you're struggling to decide what it is you want to build, or having difficulty finding that motivation, or whatever it might be. It's all part of the gig, and there are a bunch of techniques you can use to get around this if you really want to. One of them is just walking away for a bit, just treating yourself kindly, leaving it, and coming back when you're feeling a bit more inspired. But sometimes you're in a situation where perhaps it's not the most appropriate to walk away. And I decided to imagine that I am in that situation today. An example of this sort of situation is perhaps if you're working on a competition that has a deadline and you really want to submit for it, but you're not sure if you're going to be able to, but you really want to. So like, what do you do? What do you do in that situation? So I thought today, because I'm not feeling all that inspired or motivated, we could talk about what to do when you're not inspired or motivated. And this is a very broadly applicable conversation. It's definitely a conversation that we talk about in other artistic pursuits, like music, for example. If you sit down and there's a huge thing, writer's block is a huge thing. We could say right now, I've got builder's block, is an appropriate way to put that. So it's not that I can't write that's given me writer's block. It's not that I can't, be musical, which means that I'm not making music right now. It's not that I can't do Roller Coaster Tycoon, which means that I'm not doing Roller Coaster Tycoon right now. It is just that we are experiencing the normal ups and downs of human life. And there are techniques for making the most out of those situations and not letting them completely overcome you. So let's discuss them a bit today. For me, what I think the first good technique is showing up. And what I mean by showing up is opening up the game. If you're doing writing, opening up Microsoft Word or whatever software you're using. Or if you're doing music, pick up your guitar, sit at your piano, and just exist there in it. You don't have to make any progress with what you're doing, and perhaps it's better to tell yourself, I don't need to make progress, I just need to be here. So you open up the game and you have a look around and you see what there is that you might need to do. And for me, one of the things that I was thinking is, I was looking at this area and I really wanted to have this straight shot looking up here, and then you see over to this castle over here. So I didn't want to do too much for this station, which is why I kept it quite low down. But I'm recognizing that there's a little bit of a balance issue here. It just feels like it's not very balanced. So I think what we can do, and this is really easy, we can go through and just map out maybe an area that we can add more to maybe help the balance. And I'm thinking perhaps here, and maybe we can do it like this as well. We can get in there with our textures and pretend like we are playing loopy landscapes for a minute, and just go like this and go, it could be like this, and we could have a bit that comes out like that. And I was also imagining just having like a canopy like that. Maybe we should make this taller. And we're not approaching this with any sort of expectation that we're going to make the best thing ever. We're just trying to put pen to paper and see where it takes us. And then we can maybe do a bit of this as well. That feels really cool. The reason we can't put one here is because we've got this wall and it would delete the wall. This is one of the big problems with building with no hacks and stuff. Like, why? No one's riding these rides anymore. Everyone's over here. What is so interesting to them about this area? So if we find ourselves thinking, oh, I really don't know what it is what else I want to add to this particular area, we can just walk away from it. And I think that's what we're going to do in a second. I think I'll just raise this up and go like, maybe I'll just leave it like that and go. I think just adding a building here, or maybe having it even be more of a towery situation like that, can immediately... Do you see how that's maybe helped with the balance a little bit? And maybe we can have something on this side helping out as well. Maybe if this is even just a little, like, lemonade stand or something like that, even just having something here might be just help with that balance, and having only half of it have a lot of mass. Artistic balance like that is like a skill that you really have to learn. So we can keep this part more open so we can see, so the people coming through can stand in between these trees and they can look out across here and they can go, whoa, there's the castle over here. This castle is finished, by the way. I'm not doing any more improvements on this. Yeah, maybe that's something we can come back to a bit later on. We can maybe mirror some of this imagery over in this part without getting too obstructive to that main sight line we want to have over to that castle. And then over here, obviously there's loads to do over here. I started working on the building for the nature walk up here, and I really didn't do a good job, and I think this is what made me say this is what I want to do the episode on this week. So what we're going to do, I don't like it, but here's a little lesson for you. Just because something you did wasn't what you wanted it to end up being, it doesn't mean it wasn't an important step in the process, because you've got to get out there and do the thing. Even if it's wrong, you learn something from that, and if you can take lessons from failure, you're onto a really good thing. So I guess that's my next advice, is use failure as a tool in your arsenal to improve. Not everything needs to be a success story to be of great value to you. And if you only learn from successes, you're not going to learn all that much. It's as simple as that. You're going to be failing more than you're succeeding. And that's not a roast. It sounds like a roast, but it's not a roast. It's just the way it is. We fail a lot in this old game that we play because we're trying to do something that's good, that meets our taste. And when you're starting out doing something, your taste is like outstrips your ability, and that's a good thing because you have good taste, and your taste is going to be what's guiding you. So if you have really good taste, that means that you're going to be able to be critical about your own work, and you can say, my taste is better than the work that I'm making. And then as time goes on, your taste improves, but also your ability improves. So they're going to improve together, always driving you on to the next thing. So failure is really important because you're never going to meet your initial expectations. So I think what we're going to do here is something that's really good for having consistency in areas, is making sure that you have a consistent style. And a way that's really easy to do that is literally quoting things from over here. So we can take something from here and just copy it over there. And then once you've copied it, you are at liberty to change it as much as you want. And that's how you get areas which feel really consistent, but have very broad personality as well. So I think what we're going to do is we're maybe going to... So what can we identify in here? Something that's really easy is the fact that we have lots of land in here, which is really... makes life very easy because you can do the blocking thing that we had over here, but it can be much closer to the finished product than it might otherwise be. So let's grab this. I think something that I want to have is, so the thing that I deleted, you saw it, is I think I want to have this as like a defining wall, and then we can add in stuff like this, basically like this up here, right? So we can have like a strap across it of a color. Maybe we'll change what color it is. Maybe not a green color, maybe a different color, maybe an orange that we brought in over here. Could be really nice. So I've already used this little technique a little bit over here, so it's not that far out of question. But what forms and shapes are we going to bring into this? We might have to... Right, here's what we'll do to begin with. And it might not be good, but that's fine. We'll just go like this. And imagine that that's how we want it to be. Oh, we're going to accidentally kill that guy. Have we raised him up? Has he found the path? Nope. Kenny M, looking like he's naked. Good for you, Kenny M. He's already got a park map. Love that for you. Okie dokie. Love that. So we've got a raised part here. We're going to do something different perhaps here. Should we just go ahead and maybe raise all of this part? Let's just do it to there really quickly and grab all of this and raise it up like that. Do the same here. I don't like to do long stretches of slanted paths. I like to do one and then one and one and then one, and this is just for, you know, people who might be mobility impaired. It's a consideration they have to take it by law in a lot of places, so it's always something that's in my brain when I'm thinking about this stuff. So I'm thinking this area here can definitely be, like, we can even make a sort of balcony feeling over here, and then we want to do the other type of bench, don't we, the one that we've already used in this area, going like that. And now we've got a bit of personality coming out for this area. The different shape is inspiring me a little, so maybe we can go like that, or maybe make this one taller even. You know, it'd be really good if you could have an option land mover to just raise the land and not change its incline. That would be really good, because then you could just take a roof, grab it like this and go doop, up like that, and it would make life a lot easier, wouldn't it? It would make a life a whole lot easier. So let's just delete that, and I think we will grab this, shut it, construction, move this to here. Can keep the same one because we're sentimental like that, guys. So I wonder if we just simply... What we're going to do now is we're going to experiment. I'm going to just experiment in real time. There's a wall version of that? I didn't realise that if I knew that, things would be different. So let's use this one. You know what? I think we might do it like this as well. You get me? Do you get what I'm getting at here? And then we can make it the other kind if we need to make it the other kind. It don't need to be complicated, baby. Let's look over here and see if we can get some inspiration on how that's going to work. Maybe just this texture would work well. Is this a sort of thing? It feels quite tall in comparison though, doesn't it? It makes the, like, window, inverted commas, layer feel quite short. I wonder if we go like this, see what happens. Are there any bad consequences for this? There is on that one, but that's okay. If we grab the fence style one, how does that make us feel? Deep in our hearts. It's getting to the point now where we maybe want to call in desperate measures. And this is a good thing, because we've not yet exhausted our means at this point, because we can move on to the next tool that's really handy for us. And that is the internet. In a move that's super on theme for a video in which I'm kind of struggling for what to do, I forgot to shut my door for that whole entire section, and I'm not re-recording it. So I'm really sorry about the incredibly loud buzzing that you just witnessed. But apparently, according to Wikipedia, this is called a canopy walkway, and I don't think that's strictly the most accurate term, but I feel like it can give us inspiration, because this looks about right, doesn't it? They're often done in like, it's not really like a Western world sort of thing. It's often in like the Amazon and stuff like that, where it's really exciting, like rainforests and stuff like that. But we've got a rather British forest for ours, which is a bit like this. So this is very interesting. Do we need to give ourselves some like fences around the edge to make people safe? We don't want people falling, do we? But when we look at all these images on Google Images, this is all perfect stuff to give us a place to work from. Now we're looking for buildings more than anything, aren't we? I mean, look at this. That is idyllic. It's almost like that doesn't feel real, does it? That is beautiful. So what we're going to do is we're going to look through on the Google Images and see if there's anything here. See, it's structures like this we want to do, isn't it? So maybe we can get some more towers in there and have like a lookout tower. That is definitely something we can put in the back pocket. Some structures like this, perhaps. What do we need to put in to find like maybe like entrance building? Like, how do you get up there? See, these guys are at the bottom of it, so they're going up in this sort of structure here, aren't they? So maybe it can be a bit more bare bones, but I kind of wanted it to be a more concerned building. You know how these guys here, they're probably talking about what they're going to go up and look at. I wanted it to be a building where you could walk through the building, and as you're going up there, you're seeing, here's the things that you should look for. Maybe for the young kids, you can say, can you find this kind of bird? Can you find this kind of tree? I feel like I would find that sort of stuff really interesting, even as an adult. I'm always looking at the stuff that they're asking the kids about. So that's fun stuff. Are you saying I'm not allowed to have fun? Saying I'm not allowed to do a game? So this is not necessarily all that useful. These are all beautiful, aren't they? Anyway, let's try and take some of that and take it back into the game. I feel like part of the issue is that that part feels kind of very tall. So let's drag it down and see if we can sort out our balance issue like that, because it felt quite unbalanced, didn't it? So if we maybe take this roof and sort of imagine that going along like that, that might serve us a little bit better in our goals. And we can even do that if we need to. And then we can have the easiest way to imagine a tower like that is to just make one like this. And you can rotate it to give it that. Ooh, and maybe one of those as well. One of those for our trouble. And then at the top we can fully just do like a standard yeah, we probably want to do something like this, don't we? Just your run-of-the-mill tower at the top of the world sort of thing. And then we can do Marcel Voss's favourite roof, which I don't use all that much. I don't think that is helping us in any way, shape or form, so I'll get rid of it. We can drop this down a little because we've got all that headroom over the top of the... what's it called? It is called an information kiosk. We've got that headroom above the information kiosk. So we can just go like that, maybe. Or maybe like that would work better. Because it doesn't really like conflict with anything there. It won't have like the texture, like the dust around the outside that it would normally have in that situation. So those flat ground textures tend to work quite well, but we do associate them very much with particular contexts, so it might be that it doesn't work. We'll find out later, shan't we? Alright, well I'm already liking this building more, but I feel like what we're going to be adding to this to give it that pizzazz. I feel like doing something with this canopy area is definitely going to make me feel better. Just help with the overall composition of the thing. So we'll just come across and maybe do a bit of that. How does that feel? And the big benefit of using path instead is the path's hitbox is different and is much more generous. And then we can maybe do this with orange and see how we feel about that. Maybe the orange is too much. Let's try that in green instead. Moss green. Moss green is the colour of the standard foliagey type of stuff if you want something to blend in. So if you want your flowers to look like grass, for example, moss green makes it match the stems, and that's really useful for giving that feeling of grassiness. So that's something there, isn't it? And if we grab this, we can come through like this. And then we can do a different kind of fence here, like that. So we've got good clearance there. We could maybe put another fence on the outside to dress it up a little more, but right now we don't super need that, do we? So maybe if we grab some of this, we can have that underneath. How does that make us feel? And then what do we want? What kind of texture do we want to have underneath this? Let's look over here. What have we got? I really lean into the just using the wooden ground texture, don't I? But we've got some high walls like this over here, so maybe if we come through like this, we'll just do it like this to just make sure that we don't have any funny gaps when we're looking in. And now we just need to cover up this part, don't we? Maybe just going like this. That's the wrong colour. We need the saturated brown, for we are men of culture. Or maybe we're basic. Maybe the saturated brown, that's basic, and you can use one that's better. I think what we can do as well is we don't have to get rid of that, do we? But we can add a sign to the front of here. Get the old Texas Giant working for us. There we go. How does that feel? Is that a bit too... Does that stand out a bit too much, do you reckon? You know what? I think I feel better about... You see that lag there? Took ages for that one to paint. I think I feel better with the green. Nice, nice, nice. Well, that's something, isn't it? That's, you know, that gives us a place to work from. So I'm feeling pretty happy with that, all things considered. It could be much worse than that. And that's what you gotta remember. Just putting this here kind of ruin it. Nah, but it doesn't make it any better, does it? I wonder if we give this a little bit of the treatment. And it's a similar story to the foliage tutorial, isn't it? You're just trying to get a natural feeling from it. Let's not forget that we do have different kinds of bushes as well. So let's get maybe one of these. Interesting, interesting. I don't think we're all the way there yet, but I think we're just going to try ideas and then move on. I think that's the way that we find success here. I wonder if we take this feeling and we wrap it around there, so we basically copy and paste this, put it here. if that does anything for us. A wise man once said, repetition legitimizes. And there you go. That proves the point, I think. The repetition of that. From this angle, this is looking nice, isn't it? But from this one's not looking so nice. So I think maybe we just continue this motif along here, right? Why make it any more complicated than that? Alright, now we're getting somewhere, aren't we? I don't know whether it's not like what I was describing, imagining what it's like, but sometimes that's the way the news goes, isn't it? That's the way the cookie crumbles. You find a new thing along the way because the thing that you thought that you wanted isn't actually working. Tale as old as time. I think if we add some trees to this, it might do us a world of good. I almost did the pressing B instead of V mistake again, but I stopped myself. I think the healthy thing to do for me at this point is to step away from it right now, because I don't know how much I'm gonna be able to add to this without like feeling frustrated at this point. So what you do in that situation is you step away from it. There's plenty more we can do if we really need to do something, but for now I think I'm gonna stop playing and do a bit of editing of this video, and then I'll come back to it and maybe we'll do something over here. Maybe this area is calling to me, who knows. So I was mucking around, just trying to inspire myself by, you gotta put pen to paper. Something we've already covered. Gotta be in it to win it. You gotta be there, you gotta show up. I built this structure in the back, just trying to say, but what's up? I could sort of see it in my mind, but I was like, but what is it? Is it just a nice curved thing? It kind of feels a bit like a northern Italy vineyard trellis sort of situation, and that's not a bad thing, but we've got to make it fit somehow, give it a context that feels right. And I think what I was thinking was maybe having another structure that's a bit like this one in terms of its context. Have it be like a restaurant building, and have that back area be a bit like this. It's like a nice seating area. Something that we have to be concerned about is our viewing angles, because we've made this interesting building here. I think these couple of buildings here are some of the best in the park. Like, what's the tallest sort of like building situation we can get away with here? We can go quite high here, can't we? What difference does this make? We're clearly not going to go this high, but because we've used our angles quite well, we still get a good clean view of everything that's going on here. So that's sort of our maximum height. I don't know whether we're going to be going that high, to be honest. Should we make it are we going to go like 2 by maybe? Because we could make that sort of structure, couldn't we? Maybe I should do some planning colors for it as well. That would probably help. So if we just push these purples out to the edge of where we want them to occupy, that would rather help us, wouldn't it? And maybe we'll give this corner back. We will concede this little corner here. And this bit as well. Or maybe we could sort of have no straight lines in there like that, apart from this one over here, which I feel like adds a nice little curve. And it's just like an L-shaped building. That could be really cool. And then along the edge we could just have poles holding all of this stuff up. And cool, yeah, there you go. That's. I don't think we'll continue any more on that right now, because like I say, I could bash my head against it for ages, couldn't I? But that is big progress for seeing the direction that we're going to be heading in. And don't be afraid to block it out as well, guys. You can use these castle structures, they're quite useful because they're very square and they're very big. It's really easy to do that. Or you can do what we were doing over here and just use the ground textures. That can be quite, like, moving the ground textures can be quite destructive though, so that's sort of like a con to that. And a pro of this one is that it is quite clean and efficient, and it doesn't really bother anything around it because it's just a little scenery piece. So yeah, a couple of options there. I think what I'll do is I'll stop recording and I'll build this building here, and we'll see how we feel. So it might have come out a little bit over-engineered, which is fairly typical of trying to work through a lack of vision for what you're after. You know, it's a bit too... It looks nice, don't get me wrong. I don't think I'll delete it. I think it'll be a really good reminder of like the progress we're making as well. You know, it's very... I've taken a lot from this building to help it along, but I've tried to give it its own little personality, taking a little bit from like this one over here, which despite it's like way simpler, but it feels very effective. That's a sign that this one had more vision. Do you get what I mean? I didn't feel the need to put all this stuff on it. But then again, there is also the context that it's in with. It's a bit more of a detailed area here, so it's not necessarily any sort of bad thing that we've done a more detailed version of one that's over here. You know, these ones feel simple and effective, and these ones feel a bit more like they're like a focal point for perhaps the architect's eye. You know, you're entering this area, you're looking over and seeing the, all being said, quite complex structure of the scary house, and you're looking over this way and seeing, oh, here's the hustle and bustle of the pirate street. There's no bad thing about the context drawing it in a different direction. In fact, that's how you want it to be. You want to have focal points and then parts that are perhaps a little bit less eye-catching, because they give you those opportunities to focus the eye. So I was looking at this area here as well, and this being like this is quite chill, but I don't like the fact that it's mirrored over on this side. So let's dress this up a little bit. Feels like that's nice and easy. Hey, look at that. That looks like an actual, like, considered building now, doesn't it? And that's what we wanted more than anything. I think maybe we could have some foliage up against this wall to sort of bounce ourselves out a little bit. Get rid of this underbrush and plop another one like that. So then it sort of redirects this angle over to here, doesn't it? Nice. We'll do a little bit of that texture underneath there. Not every building needs to be a groundbreaking innovation. Sometimes you need something that's not too eye-catching, that's just going to let it scoot on by. And this is one of those instances. We can sort of take a flowery line in this direction, wrap this one around this corner, grabbed the wrong thing. How dare you? If we get rid of this one, and just do the very same trick that we did, just go wham. There we go. And I've got a nice line going along there, but I think with this one we can push this structure into this corner instead, and just go like that. And we could grab that like that, and then have a part there being perhaps some steps up to it, or have like a canopy sort of situation going on, and then we can just maybe do something that's like that and mirror the viewing platform that's out here. Or maybe this viewing platform can be very much connected to here. That could be quite fun as well. And it gives a little bit of, instead of it just being like a straight mirror, we make symmetry, then we break symmetry. So this one could be a part of this building in a more significant way, and that could be a good way to break that symmetry. But we're going to have to upset everybody by changing this path. Oh my goodness, that was such an ordeal. But we've got to make stuff complicated for ourselves, don't we? Everyone look away. These guys are going on a little adventure. And remember, it doesn't add to the dead guests' statistics in any way, shape or form, which means that they don't die. So you guys have got nothing to complain about. And let's keep it simple again. You know, there's no need to overcomplicate this. Let's just create a structure that's a bit like this. We're not going to overthink it. This is something that we can very much come through and modify. Do we want this so... Maybe we want it to be like that, don't we? Maybe we want to do something that's a bit... Do you want it to be on the outside? Yeah, let's do this. Zhwip. Are you smelling what I'm stepping in? Zhwip. Zhwip, zhwip. And then we can do the same over here. Zhwip. Grab this one. I'm really glad that we have this little workaround and we don't have to use Tile Inspector if we don't want to. For me personally, I'm really enjoying the limitations that we're working with here. And look at that, you get that cool little structure, which I feel like is really appropriate. I feel like that's definitely something you would see in a situation like this. And maybe with this one we can bring in some new textures like this. And use this kind of wood here. Is that too much? Not sure I love that. So let's maybe take this idea and do that. Maybe we like that a bit better. That looks pretty cool. Don't know what you guys think. So I'll take a similar tack with that. We're not going to do it on the other end though. Oh my goodness, that fits. Clearances. They are very funny in this game. But they do in fact fit on there. But does it look good? That is the true question. Because perhaps it doesn't look so good. And then we can come through with these colours. Sort of neutralise these spiky reds that are happening in there. Though maybe we just want to go with standard. Simplify a little bit, I think. Sometimes it's a funny thing when you try and simplify, isn't it? Because sometimes when you simplify, it actually makes it more complicated. So the change there in between them is actually a bit of a complication, isn't it? So if we simplify everything, it becomes a bit more natural, doesn't it? And do we want to use these to give ourselves some windows? So there's, I know that we use it for purple windows over here, don't we? So maybe if we do a similar thing, and then we grab the sepia, and we just go like this. Getting lag spikes today. You guys are seeing what I'm seeing, aren't you? I'm not going crazy. Doesn't quite fit right here, does it? Is there something we can do about that? I don't think so. Drat, drat, and double drat. As the poet once said, there is something we can do though. We can do this. Oh, blimey. We can... This is a good trick. Glad I get the opportunity to show you guys this one. So if you go like that and you place a sign, you can get rid of these ones. So it still seems like there's something going on there. We can obscure this as well. We don't need to show everyone that it's not connected, do we? We can use one of our many obscuring tricks that we've demonstrated over the series. It's going to be a tricky one though, isn't it? Boy howdy. Right. Desperate times and all that. Desperate times and all that good stuff. So if we grab this tree and we just keep... There we go. Look at that. So it looks like there's still a doorway, but it is inaccessible. And because we've used the dirt path to do it, we can use the red texture underneath to really hide it more. Nice, this is really working for me now. And the trope that we started with these observation decks, we're just continuing over here. And it's really as simple and as super duper as that. This works for us, doesn't it? Just a little something, you know. Awesome. Loving that. And that will about do us for today. We don't want to bash our heads against it. That's a lesson that we learnt today, isn't it? I'm really glad that we got to talk about the subject matter we spoke about today, because it can be one of those things that just goes unsaid, and you can walk through your whole life thinking, oh, these people, they're always inspired, they've always got a new perspective on something, they're always ready for the next challenge, but we're not. And it's completely natural, it's completely human. So the sooner we get that information out there, the sooner people can continue to find meaningful stuff to do without having that huge inspirational spark that can often come with this game and people's enjoyment of this game. And that stuff can be applied to everything. It can be applied to writing, it can be applied to music, it can be applied to anything that you're putting your soul into. If your soul sometimes doesn't feel like it's there, that's fine. It's completely fine. There's always something we can do. And let's try and bullet point the lessons that we kind of learned today. Opening up the game and getting stuck in, you can find yourself doing something you really enjoy. We never would have built this cute structure here if we hadn't just opened the game and got to it. And the same can be said for the other stuff that we've done over here and the stuff that we worked hard on over here. And that brings me to my second point. Use real-world inspiration. Go into Google Images, search it. I think the one thing that we didn't quite cover was we didn't look at other people's work in-game. So maybe on a different episode we can get more into that. So look at the real-world examples, and I think the most important point is be kind to yourself. We didn't get this to where we wanted it today, but that's fine. Just walk away, let your brain reset, do something else, apply yourself in some other area, or have a big relax, go and have a walk. There's all these things you can do that will reset your brain and let your natural inspiration refill. And sometimes that walking away, depending on the project, that'll be a few weeks, that'll be a few months. And when you come back to it, you're like, I am ready. I've experienced so much. I've really reset. I've been to some real world theme parks, or I've had some experiences that can help me write the music or write the story that I want to write. And then you return with this new fire. The stuff that we're talking about today is for when you perhaps work into a deadline. Like for me, I want to make this video for you every week. And it gave me this fantastic opportunity to talk about this stuff. So I applied myself. I used those techniques. I built a bunch of stuff that I'm really happy with. I started some stuff. I just blocked some simple stuff out. And I think that is exactly what we should be doing in those situations. Not being too hard on ourselves. Just booting up the game and seeing what happens. That's what you gotta do, guys. So I'm gonna love you and leave you. Thank you so much for all of your amazing comments that you keep on giving me. They really help the YouTube algorithm and stuff, so that they're always hugely valuable. But above all, I'm just really glad that you're here with me and we're experiencing this hobby together. That's the most rewarding thing of all, isn't it? So do make sure you have a fantastic week ahead of you, and I'll see you next week, yeah? Take care now.